The day the sky tore open, Aaron was arguing with a vending machine that refused to accept what he firmly believed was a perfectly respectable coin. He tapped it twice, then 3 times for emphasis, as if the machine might respond better to rhythm. It did not. Instead, the world responded. A low, vibrating hum spread through the air, subtle at first, like the quiet warning before a headache. Aaron paused, coin still in hand, and looked up. The sky was wrong. It wasn't dramatic in the way disaster movies promised. No explosions, no fire, no heroic soundtrack swelling in the background. Just a thin, shimmering fracture stretching across the blue, like reality itself had developed a stress crack. People around him slowed, conversations faltered, and someone dropped a bag of groceries with the tragic finality of a falling watermelon. Aaron squinted. "Well," he muttered, "that feels unnecessary." The hum deepened. The fracture widened, revealing something behind it. Movement, light, shapes that didn't belong to any geometry he understood. He took a step back, which turned into 2, then 3, until he bumped into someone who was also trying to step away from everything at once. There was a brief, awkward moment of mutual apology before both of them resumed silently panicking. Then something fell. Not like debris, not like a meteor. It was too controlled for that, too deliberate. A small figure dropped from the tier, twisting midair before hitting the ground with a soft, breathless impact. For a second, no one moved. Aaron stared. The figure pushed itself up, revealing a child, at least it looked like one. Pale, almost luminous skin, hair that caught the light like spun silver, and ears, long, curved slightly backward, delicate yet unmistakably different. The child looked around, eyes wide, scanning the crowd as if searching for something that wasn't there. Then those eyes locked onto Aaron. He froze. This felt like a test. He wasn't sure who was giving it or what the passing score was, but he had a strong suspicion he was about to fail. The child stumbled toward him anyway, moving quickly, urgently, until it collided with his legs and clung to him with surprising strength. "Okay," Aaron said, hands hovering awkwardly in the air. "Hi, hello, this is new." The hum above intensified. Aaron glanced up just in time to see shapes emerging from the fracture, sleek, metallic shifting forms that hovered rather than flew. They moved with purpose, scanning the ground below. The crowd reacted all at once, panic spreading like spilled ink. People ran, someone screamed, someone else tried to film it and immediately tripped over a bench. Aaron looked down at the child. The long ears twitched slightly as if picking up signals he couldn't hear. Fear was written across her face in a language older than words. "Right," he said quickly. "Running seems appropriate." He grabbed her hand, small, cold, steady despite everything, and ran, not gracefully, not heroically. At one point he nearly collided with a trash can and had to apologize to it on instinct. But he didn't stop. Behind them, the hovering shapes descended lower, their presence pressing against the air itself. They turned down a narrow street, then another. Aaron's lungs burned, his thoughts scattered between survival and the deeply inconvenient realization that he had left his unfinished sandwich behind. The child kept pace effortlessly, guiding him with small tugs as if she knew where to go. Finally, they ducked into an alley, pressing themselves against the wall. The noise faded slightly, the hum shifting direction. Aaron risked a glance upward. The sky still shimmered, but the shapes had moved on. For now. He looked down at the child, who was still holding his hand. Up close, her eyes reflected something vast and distant, like she was seeing more than just the narrow alley around them. "Okay," Aaron whispered, trying to catch his breath. "I don't know what's happening, who you are, or why the sky is broken, but I'm going to assume you didn't mean to start all this." The child blinked, then unexpectedly tilted her head and gave a small, almost amused smile. Aaron exhaled slowly. "Great," he muttered. "Mysterious alien child who might be smarter than me. This feels fair." By the time they reached Aaron's apartment, he had decided 3 important things. First, running for his life counted as cardio. Second, he would never complain about vending machines again. And third, bringing an alien child home was either the worst idea he'd ever had or the beginning of a very complicated apology letter to humanity. He locked the door, then locked it again for emotional reassurance. The child stood in the middle of the room, looking around with quiet curiosity. Her long ears shifted slightly, as if listening to something beneath the walls, beneath the city, beneath everything. Aaron leaned against the door, trying to slow his breathing. "Okay," he said, pointing at himself. "Aaron." Then he pointed at her, raising his eyebrows in what he hoped was a universal sign for introduction. She watched him carefully, then placed a hand lightly against her chest. There was a pause, a faint shimmer in the air, and suddenly a soft voice appeared, not heard but understood. Lyra. Aaron blinked. Right, of course it's something cool like that. I'm Aaron. I don't have telepathy, but I can make decent toast. Lyra tilted her head, then smiled faintly, as if she appreciated the effort even if she had no idea what toast was. She moved slowly through the apartment, touching objects with careful precision. A chair, a lamp, a stack of books. Each item seemed to fascinate her, not for what it was, but for how it existed. Within minutes, Aaron noticed something unsettling. Everything she touched, she rearranged. Not randomly, perfectly. The books aligned into exact symmetry. The chairs shifted into angles that made the room look like a diagram. Even his messy pile of laundry somehow folded itself into a disturbingly neat cube. Okay, no, Aaron said, stepping forward. That pile had personality. You can't just erase that. Lyra looked at him, then at the cube, then back at him, as if silently questioning his life choices. Fair, he admitted, but still. A sudden flicker passed through the lights. The room dimmed for half a second before stabilizing. Lyra froze, her ears lifting slightly. Aaron noticed it immediately. That's not normal, right? He asked. Lyra turned toward the window. Aaron followed her gaze. Outside, the sky looked calm again, almost deceptively so. But there was something else now, small, distant lights moving far above, too precise to be aircraft, too controlled to be anything human. They're looking for you, he said quietly. Lyra didn't respond, but her expression shifted. Not fear exactly, something deeper, awareness. She stepped closer to him and gently placed her hand against his forehead. For a moment, nothing happened, then everything did. Aaron gasped as images flooded his mind, not as pictures, but as experiences. Vast space stretching endlessly. Structures that pulsed with life rather than machinery. Countless beings connected in ways he couldn't begin to understand. And beneath it all, a signal, searching, reaching for her. He staggered back, grabbing the edge of the table to steady himself. Okay, he said breathlessly. Okay, that's a lot. That's more than I usually process in a week. Lyra watched him closely, as if measuring how much he could handle. Let me guess, he continued, pointing vaguely upward. That's your family or your people, or very persistent neighbors. She gave a small, almost amused nod. Aaron let out a shaky laugh. Great, no pressure then. Just an entire advanced civilization casually knocking on the door. As if on cue, something tapped softly against the window. Both of them froze. Slowly, carefully, Aaron turned his head. Outside the glass, a faint, glowing shape hovered, its surface shifting like liquid metal. It didn't move aggressively. It didn't break through. It simply waited. Aaron swallowed. Well, he whispered, that feels like a bad sign delivered very politely. Lyra stepped forward, her expression calm now, almost certain. She placed her hand gently against the window. The shape responded instantly, its glow intensifying, patterns forming across its surface like a language trying to speak. Aaron took a step back, raising his hands slightly. Just to be clear, he said, if this turns into an invasion, I'd like it noted that I was extremely cooperative. Lyra glanced back at him, and for the first time her smile held something reassuring. Not everything approaching them meant harm, but something had definitely begun. Aaron didn't remember deciding to open the window. One moment he was standing there, calculating all the possible ways this could go catastrophically wrong, and the next his hand was on the latch. Okay, he muttered. This is either bravery or a very creative mistake. The window slid open with a soft click. The glowing shape didn't rush in. It unfolded. That was the only word that made sense. Its surface separated into layers of light, each one shifting and bending until a tall figure stood just beyond the frame. It wasn't solid in the way humans were. It was arranged. Light and structure moving together with intention. Aaron raised a hand in what he hoped was a peaceful gesture. Hi, welcome. Please don't disintegrate anything important like me. The figure didn't speak, but the air changed. A quiet pressure settled in the room, not uncomfortable, just present. Lyra stepped forward, her small hand reaching out. When their forms touched, the light brightened, and something passed between them, recognition, relief, something deeper than either. Aaron felt it too, faintly, like standing near a conversation in a language he almost understood. More lights appeared outside, not aggressive, not invading, waiting. For the record, Aaron said, glancing at the growing number of hovering shapes, this is a lot of guests, and I have exactly 0 snacks prepared. Lyra looked back at him, her expression calm. She stepped aside, gently pulling him forward. The tall figure shifted its attention to him. Aaron froze. Oh no, 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 I'm not qualified for this. I once burned water. This feels like the wrong person to represent an entire species. The pressure in the air deepened, but this time it wasn't just presence. It was understanding. Images brushed against his thoughts again, softer now, the chaos in the sky, the fall, the search, and then him. A simple moment, a simple choice. He hadn't understood what he was doing, he had just helped. That's it, he said quietly. That's why you're here, because I didn't panic correctly. A ripple of light passed through the figure, something almost like amusement. Lyra's hand found his again. This time when she touched his mind, it wasn't overwhelming. It was clear, not chosen, proven. Aaron exhaled slowly. That's worse, actually. That means I have to keep being decent. The lights outside shifted, forming a wide arc across the sky. The fracture above began to close, not tearing now, but sealing like a wound finally healing. The hum faded, replaced by a quiet stillness that felt earned. The tall figure extended a shape toward him, not a hand, not exactly, an invitation. Aaron stared at it for a long moment, then he shook his head slightly. I think I'll stay, he said. Someone has to explain sitcoms properly. She laughs too early. Lyra made a soft sound that might have been a laugh. The figure paused, then inclined slightly, as if acknowledging the choice. The light shifted again, softer now, warmer. The connection didn't break, it changed. Not first contact as a meeting, first contact as a beginning. The figures outside began to rise, one by one, lifting into the sky, not retreating, returning. The last of them lingered for a moment longer, then dissolved into a thin line of light that vanished completely. Silence settled over the apartment. Aaron closed the window slowly and leaned against it, staring at nothing for a few seconds. Then he looked at Lyra. Well, he said, that was mildly life-changing. She stepped closer, her expression peaceful now. The fear was gone. In its place was something steady. Home, but different. Aaron glanced around his apartment, the perfectly arranged furniture, the suspiciously neat laundry cube, and sighed. You're going to stay, aren't you? Lyra tilted her head, then nodded once. He smiled, tired but certain. Okay, he said. We'll figure it out, but just so you know, if your people come back, you're answering the door next time. She smiled, and for the first time since the sky had broken, everything felt exactly where it was supposed to be. Life did not return to normal, which was inconvenient because Aaron had just started appreciating normal. Instead, it adjusted itself around something new, something quietly impossible that now sat on his couch and reorganized his understanding of existence between episodes of poorly written sitcoms. Okay, Aaron said one morning, staring at the television. That joke wasn't funny even by human standards. You're allowed to judge it. Lyra laughed anyway, half a second too early, then paused, frowning slightly as if recalibrating her sense of humor. Her long ears twitched, catching signals far beyond the walls of the apartment. Aaron had learned that expression. It meant something was happening. Tell me that's just your version of boredom, he said. She looked at him, then shook her head gently. The air shifted. It wasn't like before. No tearing sky, no overwhelming hum. Just a quiet presence pressing softly against reality, like someone knocking politely instead of breaking the door down. The lights flickered once, then steadied. Aaron stood up, exhaling slowly. Right, round two, this time I'm emotionally prepared, slightly. Lyra reached for his hand, steady as always. Together they moved to the window. Outside, the sky remained whole, but something shimmered just beneath it, barely visible, like a reflection that didn't belong. They're back, Aaron said. Lyra nodded, but there was no fear in her expression now, only certainty. The room brightened, not from any visible source, but from a presence unfolding again. The same kind of light, the same quiet intelligence, but different somehow, softer, more familiar. The tall figure formed slowly near the window, its shape stabilizing as if learning how to exist here more comfortably. Aaron crossed his arms. Okay, before anything else, I'd like to say I cleaned. This is the best version of my apartment you're ever going to see. A ripple passed through the figure, amusement unmistakable this time. Lyra stepped forward, her posture calm, confident. She touched the light again, but now Aaron could feel it clearly without being overwhelmed. Thoughts moved through the space between them, structured, deliberate. Not a search anymore, an invitation. Aaron blinked. Wait, you're not taking her back. Lyra looked at him, then gently pressed her hand to his forehead. The understanding came slowly, clearly. Not a separation. A bridge. She wasn't being retrieved. She was choosing to stay, part of something new forming between two worlds that had finally noticed each other properly. Aaron let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. So this whole thing, me running, hiding, nearly dying from cardio, that was the beginning of a diplomatic relationship. A soft pulse of light confirmed it. He laughed, shaking his head. I should really get better clothes if I'm going to be part of history. The figure shifted closer, extending that same not-quite hand. This time, Aaron didn't hesitate. He reached out. The contact was brief, but it settled something inside him. Fear didn't disappear. It changed shape, became something manageable, something useful. All right, he said quietly. We do this properly then? No panic, no running. Maybe a little less tripping over trash cans. Lyra smiled, a small, warm expression that felt entirely human despite everything that made her different. The light began to fade, not leaving but withdrawing just enough. Not distant. Present in a new way, woven into the edges of the world instead of hovering above it. Aaron looked out the window one last time, then closed it gently. Okay, he said, turning back into the room. New rule. If we're representing humanity, we need a plan. Lyra tilted her head, curious. He nodded seriously. Step 1, you stop rearranging my furniture into advanced geometry. It's intimidating. She paused, then slowly moved one chair back out of perfect alignment. Good, he said. Compromise, I like it. He sat down, exhaling as the weight of everything settled into something steady. Not overwhelming, not impossible, just ongoing. Step 2, he added, glancing at her with a small smile. You teach me how to not embarrass myself in front of your people. Lyra's eyes brightened slightly. Outside, the sky remained whole. Inside, something new had already begun to grow, and for once Aaron didn't feel like running.